In this video, I'm going to show you a little bit about how you might have a visual accompaniment. Is that a word? Accompaniment to your timer. So you want some kind of visual aspect to your timer. You can have the numbers as well, but that's kind of boring if you just have the numbers. So what we want is some kind of visual tool. So what I've got here on the screen, all I did here is I used the polygon tool to draw some lame old polygons, but right now I can't do anything to them in code because they are simply polygons. So what I'm going to do is click. Now here's a little tip. When you have a polygon, it is really weird and it tries to break itself up into the fill and the line, but if you double click it, single click, you only get the fill. Double click it, you get the fill and the line. You convert that to a symbol. You want this thing to be a movie clip. I'm going to call it a timer rectangle. Make sure it's a movie clip. You don't need it to be a button. I always do this. You don't know what that means, but it will be important someday. Boom. Yes, just do that. Now, here's what I'm going to do. This thing that I just created, he is a timer rectangle. He has no name, so I'm going to give him some name. I'm going to call him Rexy. Nice. Maybe it's a her. Okay. So I'm going to give it an instance name Rexy because I need to be able to talk about it in code. Now on my code layer, I'm going to make a timer. And this is how long a tick is in milliseconds. So that says each tick is 1,000 milliseconds or 1 second. It's going to repeat 30 times. Very nice. There are two types of timer events. There's when it's done and when it ticks. So I'm going to say as it ticks, I want it to call a function called tick, which then you have to go right. It takes in a timer event. And then I always forget to start my timer and then wonder why it's not doing anything. So I'm going to start that timer every time it ticks. Every 1,000 milliseconds, it's going to call this thing called tick. And I could say, that's not what I want to say. Sorry, I could talk to the timer, ask for its current count. I could do that. It's going to be, that's how you get your numbers. Very exciting. Now what I really want is I want to talk to Rexy. So that every time it ticks, I'm going to subtract from Rexy's width. Now you're going to have to do better math than that. I just said subtract 5 pixels. You have to do better math than that because you'll have to decide how many pixels. It's like a slope problem. Rate of change, very exciting. You'll have to decide its rate of change so that it runs out of steam. See, because Rexy's almost done after 30 ticks. I mean, the timer's done after 30 ticks, and old Rexy still looks like has lots of time left, which is a lie. So you don't want to just say minus equals 5. You probably want to do some kind of division. I won't do the math for you. You're good at math, right? If you're feeling fancy, I mean, you could do stuff like you could have something fade or not fade. It's a very subtle fade, but eventually that would be totally invisible, which may be a little much. So you could do, just think about all the characteristics that the movie clip has: fade or alpha and rotation and width and height and position. And so you could just do really whatever you want to. That's a little much with it, and it would be beautiful. Now, another thing you might do, you could have growing or shrinking or fading or not fading or whatever. You could also do some kind of movement. Now I've got this other shape here. I'm going to convert that to a symbol so I can talk about it. I'm going to call it timer circle. Once I have made it into a movie clip, he is of data type timer circle. I need to give him an instance name. I'm I don't know. What does he look like? He looks like he's not a Rexy. I don't know. Mm, Cirque. Cirque. Okay. And then once that guy has a name, I could say instead of talking, well, I could leave Rexy alone, but same type of thing. I've got the timer. The timer is calling tick. The tick was talking about Rexy, but I could also make it talk about Cirque. And again, you have to be better about your math than this because you want him to go. You want it to be very obvious to the user, um, like when the time is up. So you could say you would have to do the math to decide his rate of change, how much he needs to move each tick, so that it would go from one thing to another. Um, but beautiful, beautiful. Um, you could also say, I'm just making something up right now. Um, hmm, let's see what I just made up. Oop, not a very good one. Oh. Um. Well, anyway, you could do math and get some kind of path. I did not get a very good path out of that. But you're good at math. Oh, that's because I didn't square it, you dork. Anyway, that was a waste of your life. But you could, if you wanted to have it follow a parabolic trajectory, you could have it follow a circular trajectory, you could have it follow whatever kind of trajectory you want because you're good at math. And so you could have whatever. But again, you want it to be visually obvious to the user when is the end. So make sure that they can tell that. Of course, you could. Um, I'm not telling you that you can't show the numbers of the ticking timer. You could show that as well. Um, that would be fine. One example is I could go into this timer circle. I could give him a text box, a key. I'm going to name this text box box. I probably don't want 30-point font, and I probably don't want it to be red font on a red background. But that guy's name is box, which means here on the main timeline, I could say circ.box.text equals, I'm going to do some lame casting there, and then so you can still incorporate your the numbers into the visuals as well. But again, you don't want a big red circle or a big red square. You want something that makes sense with your theme of your game. But you can make something really fancy just with some pretty simple aspects of a movie clip.